Holy cow, I've seen enough. Nico for MVP.
Yeah, we yelling at the screen every Sunday night. Talk slick, throw the remote, we just want it right. Front office tripping, man, they can't get it right. Whole city heated, but we still gon' fight. We talking Bulls trade, biz drafts, missed calls, club slump, soft rebuild. We seen it all. Yeah, we loud, yeah, we gritty. I'm a little frustrated, but I still love my city. Yeah, north side, south side, west, we united.
Welcome to Holy Cow, Chicago Cubs show here at Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel. On this episode, we're going to recap the last two series, one against the Pirates at Wrigley Field and the other one, quick road trip to Philadelphia to play the Phillies. After that, we're going to talk about my boy Nico, how he's right now top five-ish player in the National League, and get into more some who hot and who not. Let's get right into that. Pirates and the Phillies. The Cubs split all 6 games. They dropped the series to the Pirates, won the series against the Phillies. And that's how you get to a 9-9 record in the first 18 games. Cubs have just been mid this whole season. Been mid. You win one game, look great, lose the next one, look terrible. Win one game, look okay, lose the next one, look by the skin of their teeth. It's been up and down performances. You've had great starting pitching. You've had great offense from time to time. And then the opposite. So, but it's still early. We're not even halfway through the first third of the season. Nothing to panic about yet, but it has been concerning based on all the injuries we got going on and based on some of the players that aren't performing up to their standard. You would like to see a lot of this stuff turn around. What I have noticed is that the excuse about the weather that I said last episode, I'm tired of it. It might be more than true. So when the Cubs bats came alive in Tampa, what did you have? Controlled temperature, controlled weather. The bats were able to bust out. They came back to Wrigley. The weather was more on the warmish, cold side, upper 40s, 50s. Bats were quiet against the Pittsburgh Pirates. You go over to Philly, it was in the 80s, and the bats were live again. So maybe there is some truth to those excuses, and maybe that's some cause for hope if you were looking for certain bats to wake up. PCA, Michael Bush, and so on and so forth. As the weather gets more warm in Chicago and the ivy starts to bloom on the walls at Wrigley. But let's go ahead and get into this recap. Starting with the Pirates. The first game, Cubs lost 2-0, which was a disaster for one reason. Showed at McNaughton. He is balling right now, and he threw possibly one of his best games of his career. He took a no-hitter into the 7th inning, where he struck out 9 and handed it over to Caleb Theobar, who ended up giving up a 2-run home run to Brian Reynolds, and that was the ball game. But the offense, they didn't do any favors for Caleb. They didn't do any favors for Shohei Ohtani. That 2-run home run shouldn't have been the end of the game. They stranded 11 runners and couldn't get a single hit with runners in scoring position. Bad offense. That was the story of the game. A lot of Eminagas had a great performance, and it got wasted because guys could not do their job at the plate. Game 2, Cubs lost 4-3, and that went to extra innings. Thought I was going to turn around the second game. It felt good because the Cubs kept chipping away. They got down early 3-0, and then they eventually found their way back. Alex Bregman, clutch single in the bottom of the 9th to bring in Dansby Swanson, tied the game, sent it to extra innings. Cubs had their chances, though. In the bottom of the 10th of this game, they had the bases loaded with 2 outs in the bottom of the 10th, and Dansby Swanson up to the plate, grounded out to second. In the next inning, 5th inning, Caleb Theobar, once again, he discombobulated. He had a throwing error to first base, which allowed the eventual winning run to plate. But in the bottom 11th, again, we'll be talking about this offense. The Cubs had the bases loaded, 2 outs. You had Dansby on third, you had Nico on second, and you had Happ, who was intentionally walked. What happened? Suzuki fouled out. The best just wasn't there for the Cubs. The Pirates, give them all the credit. I said earlier before the season started that the Pirates are going to be greatly improved. They're going to contend for a wild card spot. They're leading the division early. Again, qualify this as early. But take nothing away from 'em. They earned these wins, even though I think they tried to give some of them back to the Cubs, but the Cubs didn't do themselves any favor, and it felt like they might be in tune for a sweep, their first divisional series of the season. After that game on Saturday, it felt like the Cubs was gonna get their ass swept up, which would be the first time the Cubs would get swept at Wrigley since mid-2023. That would not have been a good look, especially when the Cubs fell down 5-0 after Jameson Taillon gave up a grand slam. If you cut the game off at that point, like I wanted to, you'd have missed the comeback. Cubs came back in dramatic fashion that game. Third inning, Dansby Swanson and Moises went back to back with solo home runs. In the fifth inning, Bregman hit a sac fly, brought in Nico, 6-3 bang. In the seventh inning, Alex Bregman again brought in Dansby Swanson with a pop out, I believe it was. In the eighth inning, this is where it got crazy. 2-1, and Michael Bush, who had been in an 0 for 30 slump, who was not playing this game as he was trying to work out the kinks on his swing, he got he got the pitch hit, and he came up big. A single into left center, plated Dansby, plated Suzuki, tie ball game. And in the ninth, Carson Kelly did the honors. He hit something that if it was just like a little bit higher, like an inch or two higher, it would have been a walk-off grand slam. You know how those things go. It ended up just being, recorded as a single because he didn't touch them all. But you can say a lot of things about this series. One, the offense was shit. Or the Cubs showed some resiliency. That could also be couched with the Pirates not putting the Cubs away when they should. They let a couple of those games slip back into the Cubs, slip back into an area where the Cubs had a chance to pull those games back. But we won't give away wins. We don't apologize for wins. The Cubs left that series with a record of 7-8 over to Philadelphia. Now, in the last episode, I did say that a lot of people were saying this 16 game stretch for the Cubs is going to be very difficult. I pointed out, like, I don't believe in the NL East. I don't believe that Philadelphia is all that hot, especially not right now, especially not right now. I don't, whatever happens, later on in the summer, August, September, and, maybe something different, but I don't think they're tough right now. The Mets definitely ain't tough. We'll talk about them in a minute. But as going up there, I thought the Cubs had a shot to win that series as well. But it didn't start great. Javier Assad, the hero down in Tampa Bay, he got whooped, complete belt to ass. He gave up 9 runs in just 4 and a third innings, 2 home runs on 2 pitches to good buddy, one of my favorite players in the majors right now, still, Kyle Schwarber. I'll never forget 2016 when he came back from that torn ACL. Was a hero. He's always been a playoff hero, and tracking might end up in Cooperstown one day, which will suck because that will put it right next to Greg Maddox's biggest L's in Cubs history. But nevertheless, yeah, he saw 2 pitches from Javier. He put them both in the stands. Next thing you know, when the dust settled, the Cubs had lost 13-7. But we talked about their resiliency in the last series. The Cubs offense came to play in the next 2 games. They bounced back with a 10-4 win in game 2. They had 15 hits. Nico Horner and Alex Bregman, they had 3 RBIs apiece. Then they took the series finale, dominant 11-2 victory. Our good buddy Shohei Minaga. This time the offense didn't let him down. He was electric again. 11 strikeouts. And Matt Shaw had a career day with 3 extra base hits, 3 two-baggers. Now, taking two out of 3 on a roll against that Philly team, big. Brought the Cubs record as they come back home to face the Mets to 9-9. All right, let's talk about who's hot and who is not carrying their weight right now. Let's start off with Shohei Minaga. He might be the hottest pitcher in baseball right now. His fastball and his split finger is getting a lot of swing and misses right now. He had 26 swings and misses against the Phillies in that series finale. 26. That's a crazy number. But let's stay on the fastball for a second. His fastball has had an uptick in velocity. Remember we talked about last year when he was coming back from the hamstring injury that his velocity was down and it was allowing the batters to really hone in on his pitches and put them in the stands. And that's always been a thing with Shota. Like, he given up the home run. He gave it up a lot last season, but Can't catch him now. His pitch mix has been elite. He's changing eye levels with a lot of his pitches. His fastball is high in the zone. His splitter is well down the zone. He's keeping batters off balance. More on that off balance stuff. He's working east to west. On his fastball and splitter combination, um, he started working both sides of the plate, incorporating that sweeper and that sinker ball pitch. The boy is on fire right now. He's accepting this guy as breaking bad. And last thing, and this comes from, I guess, really locking in prior to the season during spring training when he opted to miss out on the World Baseball Classic. He's disguising his breaking pitches really well. The sweeper and the splitter and the fastball all look identical when they come out of his hand, and is making batters guess wrong. They said they guessed wrong 26 different times in that series finale against the Philadelphia Phillies. And put that together with the extra velocity and the elevation on his fastball, that guy's he's locked in. He's unhittable. And I want to keep that going all summer long, especially with the injuries that this team is dealing with right now. Kate Horton down. Um, Still, you don't know what you're going to get back from him. Matt Boyd on the IL. This would be a big show for the Cubs. Matt Shaw starting to hit those gaps. Uh, you can't do that, but you can't have three doubles in a game without hitting gaps. So I'm liking to see that he's having some success at the plate. Him moving around on defense, it still hasn't caught on for him, but we got faith that he'll figure it out. He was playing Gold Glove level defense at third base. If you can do that at third base, I got faith that you can figure it out somewhere else too. Colin Ray. What can you say about Colin Ray? He's been a stud for the Cubs. All the injuries the Cubs are dealing with in the pitching staff, from the pen to the starting rotation, Colin Ray has stepped up and been reliable. All of his starts so far this season has been really solid. He's saved the bullpen. He's been steady. He's making a great argument to remain in the starting rotation when Boyd, when Steele come back. Tough decision for Craig Counsell. Maybe he will have better luck with that decision than some of the other decisions he's made. And as far as juggling the lineup and juggling his when to pull pitches or when to insert certain other pitchers, I don't know. But we'll keep a lookout for that. But here's the real rock star for the team. Nico MVP Horner. Perhaps. My boy Nico is currently leading all of the position players in the National League in WAR. He's already over one in very early this 18 games. Already got a one WAR. That's really unheard of. And it's because he's contributing highly consistent and elite levels across multiple parts of the game. His slugging and extra base hits have increased since last year. His clutch hitting is elite right now. He's has a very high on base percentage, very high batter percentage. He's been aggressive on base running, and his defense. You all know about his defense. His defense has always been clutch. I'm gonna stay with that slugging and extra base hits. To end the in the Philly series, he had 8 RBIs in the last 2 games of that Philly series. He had 3 in game 2. He had 5 RBIs in game 3. He's constantly finding gaps for extra bases. He's got 6 doubles already earlier this season, and he's not a power hitter. Not traditionally, not at least, but maybe this season's different. Maybe he's locked into a different version of himself. Maybe he's went Super Saiyan. We're gonna find out. But right now, he's playing MVP. I already said he's been elite in the clutch. He's automatic with runners in scoring position. He's got the highest batting average with runners in scoring position for any Cub since 1974. That's anybody with 500 at bats. And remind that he's been in the leadoff spot because he's just able to stay up the middle and not overswing when he comes back around when people are on base in front of him. And that's got him 13 RBIs already early this season. Like I said, he got 8 of them in the last 2 games. He's hovering around 330 and 340 for batting average. And in addition to making great contact damn near every time you see him, he's walking at a high rate, which raises the his overall offensive floor. and sets a table for hitters behind him. Can those guys drive him in? That's a story for a different day. Because he is constantly putting together professional at bats, running the bases well, playing strong defense. He's one of the best overall players in baseball right now. Again, early. So what? We're talking right now. Right now, he's one of the best players in baseball, not just in the National League, in baseball. And right now, it's the best bargain in baseball because after he signed that $140 million contract, he's playing at a level that demands a contract a lot higher than 140. Ed Carter, y'all did your big one with that one. Those rumors in the offseason about maybe Nico can get traded after they brought in Alex Bregman, never a thought. Valuable to this team.
Need a Garrett's popcorn break.
Guys who've been trash. Michael Bush. Now, I did say he was the hero of that Pirates series when he had that clutch hit to stop the Cubs from getting swept, help the Cubs dig out of that 5-0 hole. But he was in an 0 for 30 slump. One criticism you can say about Craig is that his lineups don't really make a whole lot of sense. The guy's in an 0 for 30 slump. You bench him. He pitch hits, comes up big for you in that position. Then you don't play him again the next game. I don't know how much sense that makes. How do you expect the guy to build off some success if you don't play him? I mean, I don't know. Maybe they get to see him in the batting cages. Maybe they don't like what they see. Maybe he still needs to work on some things. Okay. I do know his mechanics have been off so far this season. His ground ball rate is up almost 10% since it was last season. He's chasing a lot of fastballs out the zone. And you definitely want him to, whatever he needs to work on, you want him to hurry up and get that fixed. Because he had 34 home runs last year, led the team in home runs. That's where a lot of the power of this Cubs team is depending on. You need that from him. You want him to fix those things. Now, in the Philly series, he did play game 2 and 3. He was 2 for 4 in game 2, but 0 for 5 in game 3. Everybody else is hitting the hitting the stitching off the ball except him. Who else wasn't hitting the stitching off the ball? PCA. If it wasn't for his defense, we would not be talking about PCA right now. We'd be calling him new Corey Patterson. His bat has been terrible. He's slashing 203 right now. His strikeout rate is up 6%. How does that even make any sense? Pitchers are loving when they see him. That's why he's in the 8th spot. That's why he's in the 8th hole. He's really easy to pitch to right now because he's chasing anything in the zone, out the zone, breaking pitches, and he's swinging at everything. I saw this stat. Since August 2nd of last season, out of 149 qualified hitters, PCA ranks 149th in on-base percentage at 237. He ranks 147th in batting average at 190, and he ranks at 147th again in slugging at 283. My boy. If it was anybody else, if the Cubs didn't just sign him to a 6-year, $115 million contract, he'd be in the minors already. He'd be in AAA trying to figure this out. And if he couldn't figure it out, if there was anybody in the pipeline that they liked just as much or even better, he might be thinking about getting tendered. These numbers are a big cause for concern. You need him to snap out of it because this team is not going anywhere if that continues. Bullpen and pitching depth is the other thing that's not hot. The injury bug is kicking the Cubs' ass right now. Matthew Boyd, Cade Horton, who's done for the season, Porter Hodge, done for the season, Hunter Henry, 15-day IL, Phil Madden, 15-day IL, Jordan Wicks, 15-day IL. He's down in AAA, scheduled to have his first minor league rehab this weekend. Ethan Roberts, 15-day IL. Justin Steele, 60-day IL. The news on him, he has progressed in his recovery to facing live hitters now in batting practice sessions. Tyler Austin, he's also on a 60-day IL. Don't even expect him back no time soon. Yeah, I don't know. Ethan Roberts, he cut his hand while working out. I think I heard that a vent fell from the ceiling or something like that, and he cut his hand, something like that. I don't know. It's a weird story, but it's a lot of bodies that the Cubs. There's a lot of pitching. There's a lot of pitching injuries the Cubs are dealing with right now. And it's amazing, to be honest with you, that that ain't the biggest issue for the team. It's not putting bat to ball. We start putting bat to ball a little bit better, that takes a lot of stress off these pitchers. And the one thing we don't need more stressful innings, already overworked pitchers. So looking ahead, the Cubs have no time to rest on their laurels. They are 9-19. They are welcoming the 7-11 struggling New York Mets. Shout out to my boy Ricky Schway on the channel. He is a Mets fan. I'm gonna need that bread up out of him after the Cubs sweep them, because I definitely need that sweep. You got to use this as a get right series. You remember when you hoop back in the day, when you played sports back in the day, you saw that weak team on the schedule, like, yeah, I'm gonna get my numbers today. The Cubs gotta get their numbers against the Mets. PCA, Michael Bush, everybody, you gotta get your stats up against this team. This team has lost 7 straight games. If you say the Cubs can't hit, the Mets really can't hit. They are abysmal right now. After the Mets, we got a rematch with the Philadelphia Phillies. This time they come to Wrigley for a 4-game set before the Cubs pack up and head to California to play San Diego and the Dodgers. The Dodgers are looking like they haven't missed a step since winning the World Series uh, last season. Last I looked, Otani has a 0 ERA. Kyle Tucker, he had a game-winning hit against the Mets the other day. Oh, they're clicking on all cylinders. I think they're 14-4. Just elite. I'm sick of the Dodgers. They got too much going on for them, and it pisses me off. But the Cubs, the Cubs are 6 games into this gauntlet that they have to survive. They're 3-3 so far. If they do what they're supposed to do against the Phillies, do what they're supposed to do against the Mets, at 8-8 outcome that a lot of people say that would be the best case scenario for this team, it starts to look a lot better, because I wanted a 10-6 turnaround for this gauntlet. I think the Cubs had the talent to do 10-6. The Mets should not put up too much of a challenge. If they do, we got a lot of issues. The Phillies at at Wrigley, you will hope that it's going to be good weather and you can continue getting some good pitching and the offense show up. You should be able to handle some business there as well. So let's say if we win 5 of those 7 games against the Mets and the Philadelphia Phillies, you go right to the West Coast with house money. That's the way we want to look at that. That way we can start stacking some wins, start pulling ourselves out of this baby, because the Cubs should not be in the cellar of the NL Central. Let's get this thing turned around. Fight a W. Appreciate you tapping into this latest episode from the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan channel. Don't matter if you was watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple. Make sure you like, subscribe, share with everybody on the block, and hit the notification bell so you never miss none of our daily drops. And to all the guys from the Shy, we say 3 things: bear down, fly the W, and sell the team, Jerry.